welcome to another video. And today I thought I'd talk about something that's come up so many times since I switched from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and that is how strong am I now? Like, has bodybuilding made me weak? Have I lost all my friends? Do I cry in the bath whilst eating Nutella out of a jar with a spoon? Like, people want to know, has switching from powerlifting to bodybuilding made me weak? Okay, and the answer is, to an extent, yes, but it goes beyond that. There's lots of other things in play, and so I thought it would be cool to make a video where I talk about not only the effect it's had on my strength, but also just like my general comparison, because I've been bodybuilding for like, what, almost 3 months now, so I think I'm in a good place where I can talk about both things objectively. So, perverts amongst you may have noticed I'm rocking the spandex, which means only one thing, and that is that it's leg day, because I thought rather than just talk about the effect it's had on my strength, I'd show you. So I'm going to do some squats and deadlifts today. That'll give you a pretty good insight into how things are looking right now. But I'm also just going to talk you through like my thoughts on the two sports, the effect on things like diet and training, and just kind of like a general overview of the two. So sit back, relax, give the video a like, and I'll see you at the gym. Right, we're here, just sat in the car outside the gym, drinking some Dark Thunder, hashtag Monster for Peasants. Please don't start using that hashtag, it's very offensive to peasants. Like I said, it's a leg day today. I'm gonna be doing squats, followed by deadlifts, then some leg extensions, some leg curls, and then some abs. So let's go and frickin' train. Okay, the squat's done, let's go and deadlift. Alright, deadlifts are done. Let's talk about how much change to bodybuilding has affected my strength. So first things first, if you're new to the channel and you're unaware of my powerlifting background, my squat PB is 265 kilograms. And my deadlift PB is 310 kilograms. But to give you an objective comparison as far as my strength goes, where it was before and where it is now, you just saw me squat sets of 6 at 152.5 kilograms. Now back when I was powerlifting, I could squat sets of 6 at about 210 kilograms. And looking at my deadlift, you just see me do some deadlift sets of 6 at 180 kilograms. Now when I was powerlifting, I could do sets of 6 with deadlift at about 230 kilograms. Now on the face of it, that obviously looks like a pretty drastic loss in strength, right? But there are 3 big things you have to factor in here. The first thing is frequency, okay? Now, it's not magic, it's not like you change to bodybuilding and suddenly you lose strength. I've also changed a lot of other factors in my life. So the first thing is training frequency. When I was powerlifting last year, I was squatting and deadlifting 3 times a week. Okay, I'm now squatting and deadlifting once a week. So that is a massive change. It's not just a case of bodybuilding making me weaker, it's the drop in training frequency that's made me weaker. On top of that is my training intensity. So again, when I was powerlifting, a lot of my sets were kind of RP 8, 9, 10. I was doing a lot of heavy singles. Whereas today and at the moment, I'm not going any heavier than like an RP 6 or 7. So what you've just seen there for my squats and deadlifts were very, very comfortable, particularly with the squat. So obviously if I was to kind of force it and push it, I'll be lifting heavier than I am right now. And the third and final thing is body weight. Now again, when I was powerlifting, at my heaviest I was up to about 104 kilograms. I'm now sitting at 93, 94 kilograms. That's a pretty huge drop in body weight. So even without changing my training style, my weights were always going to suffer. You also have to bear in mind this whole thing comes down to what your interpretation of strength is. Obviously I'm talking about bench, squat and deadlift because that's the traditional definition of strength, and that's what I personally always look at as a, like with a powerlifting background. But although those three lifts for me are weaker and they are pretty significantly weaker right now. If you look across the board, so like my overhead press, my dumbbell chest press, my flies, my all my kind of bicep, tricep, other movements, they're all stronger. So although my three main lifts are weaker, I've got about 25 lifts that are stronger. So in that sense, you could argue that I'm actually stronger. But let's be honest, anyone that says an arm curl is more important than a deadlift is a freaking loser. Right, let's get on with the session. Training is done, and speaking of training, let's talk about how it's changed since I switched from powerlifting to bodybuilding. So the biggest change is that when I was powerlifting, I was on a lift focused program, whereas now in bodybuilding, I'm on a body part focused program. What I mean by that is that with powerlifting, my training days would be like a squat day or a deadlift day or a bench day, whereas now in bodybuilding, it may be like a chest day or a back day. So basically now I'm focusing on individual body parts, whereas before I was focusing on the actual exercises. And what that means is technically it's harder to program because there are more variables, you know, whereas with powerlifting, all I really had to manage the volume with was those 3 lifts, and that was basically it. Whereas now with bodybuilding, you've got like, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 big body parts that I'm having to manage throughout the week to make sure the volume is balanced across the week. Another big change is obviously the rep ranges are now different. So when I was powerlifting, I would very rarely go above 5 reps, and a lot of the time, particularly when I was getting near competition, all my training would be singles, doubles and triples, whereas now with bodybuilding, I'm working up to like 20 reps. Sometimes I do sets of 20 reps, which for me was a massive shock at first. Now I'm getting used to it. Now my cardio and my kind of strength endurance is a lot better. I can manage it, but it is a big change. And with that, my volume has changed significantly. I'm basically doing a lot more volume. Now, admittedly, some of the volume is not as high quality. So when I was powerlifting, there was big, long recoveries. So I may do like, you know, 6 singles, so literally 6 lifts, and that would take me like 45 minutes, whereas now, in that same time, I might do like 200 or 300 lifts. The difference is that obviously now, I'm having much shorter recovery, so towards the end of my sets, the quality is not as high, but I'm not focused as much on quality, I'm more focused on the volume. And another one, this is more kind of personal preference, I'm finding it more enjoyable. I know that's kind of a bit of a novelty, and a bit of the kind of honeymoon period, but it mainly comes down to the fact that it's a lot less stressful. Now, I'm not saying that bodybuilding is not hard, it definitely is hard, but it's hard in a different way. And personally, I prefer this hardness than that sounds weird, than the hardness that comes with, I can't keep saying the word hardness, than the difficulty that comes with powerlifting, because powerlifting, like, basically I got sick of the feeling that, you know, my organs were going to explode, I was going to poo myself, whereas with bodybuilding you don't have that same stress. It's still like hard and it's still intense, but the weight's never like crazy. I mean, it can be, but for me at the moment the weight's never crazy heavy. You never got like 250 kilograms on your back, so it's not the same, you know? And that means that it's a lot less stressful on your CNS, so I personally find it a lot easier to recover from. Like, I can do a huge amount of volume for like back and biceps, but the next day I feel okay, whereas if I was to do a huge deadlift session, it's a completely different ball game. The next day I'm pretty fried. And the last thing is that you can kind of talk about subjective versus objective. Now, this doesn't apply to me right now, to be honest, but it can. You know, ultimately, powerlifting is objective. You know, you're trying to hit a certain number, it's black and white, you can't dispute that. Either you get it or you don't. Whereas with bodybuilding, it comes down to appearance, and ultimately, that's someone's opinion. However, with the training, what I would argue to counter that is that I'm still tracking my volume, I'm still trying to beat things, you know? So for example, I've just done some decline sit-ups. Last time I did those, I got 45 reps. Just now I got 48 reps. So that's an objective measurement. You know, I've beaten what I did last time, so therefore, it is black and white. Anyway, I'm hungry, it's lunchtime, let's go and get some food. Surprise! I'm not getting lunch, I'm actually sitting in my car adjacent to the place where I'm about to be getting lunch. Also, I just executed the best reverse parking you've ever seen. Literally about 2 inches of space at the front of my car and behind the car. Thank you very much. I'm about to go in and eat at a place called the Sunshine Cafe. If you watch my videos religiously, as I hope most of you do, you'd know that I've been to a place called the Sunshine Barbecue quite a few times. It's basically like a Turkish barbecue place around the corner from my house, and it's friggin' sick. Well, the Sunshine Cafe is run by the same guys, but rather than being like a sit-down restaurant kind of vibe, it's more of a laid-back cafe kind of vibe. I'm awful awful at describing restaurants. But anyway, I thought this would quickly be a good opportunity to talk to you about another pretty significant change since I've gone from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and that is my appearance. Talking about my physique, not like my hair, although my hair is way better since changing. Now, like I said, it's a pretty significant change, but again, as with the previous areas, you can't attribute all of this just to my change in training. It's more down to my diet and other factors. But the biggest change is that I think I'm a lot leaner. Like if you look at my previous videos, like my gym edit of me, the photo shoot, I think I'm looking, well, I am in the best shape I've ever been. I look a lot better than I did when I was powerlifting. That's mainly down to the fact that I am carrying less body fat. In terms of like changes to muscularity, that's going to take longer, but I do think already there's some pretty significant changes in terms of like my shoulders. I think my shoulders are a lot bigger. That's just down to the fact that I'm now training my shoulders. Conversely, I think my legs are now slightly smaller. Again, that was kind of always going to happen because I've gone from squatting and deadlifting 3 times a week to now squatting and deadlifting once a week. And then I think across the board, I'm just generally carrying a bit more muscle. Like obviously I'm doing a lot more volume on all the other body parts. So again, it's going to take longer. I think if you give me like 6 months to a year of training as a bodybuilder whilst in a calorie surplus, and then I'm going to cut down, I think I'm going to look pretty freaking sick. But like I said, you're going to have to be patient for that. Anyway, that's enough chat about my sick physique. Let's go and get some sick food. That was so bad. I'm just going to freaking delete this entire clip. Also, quick heads up, if you don't like the elderly, don't watch the next clip, because the Sunshine Cafe seems to attract friggin' crap loads of old people. So there is a strong chance there's going to be an old man sat right next to me. That's weird, I'm in, and like my food's already here, and it's exactly what I wanted. Jokes, I ordered then set up the camera retrospectively. So food-wise, I have, it's like an all-day breakfast, so I've got like hash browns, fried toast or fried bread, egg, bacon, beans, and then a first experience for me, like a sausage burger. Didn't even know it was a thing, but it sounds good. And then a Diet Coke because I'm watching my figure. Right, let's eat. Food is done, and what better time to talk about the last change since switching from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and that's my diet. Let's be honest here, my diet hasn't changed that much, right? Like anyone that's watched my channel for any period of time will know that I used to eat quite a lot of crap, and I still eat quite a lot of crap. The big difference, I guess, is that now like I'm more conscious of what I'm eating, plus I've had to do things like cutting and bulking. So obviously recently I underwent my first cut. Like I know previously I have done a little mini cut for powerlifting. I had to get down to a weight class, so I dropped some weight, but that's completely different because obviously here I'm cutting for bodybuilding, and that consists of trying to lose as much body fat as possible, whereas cutting for powerlifting is more kind of temporary weight loss. It's almost like a lie, it's not real weight loss, you know. I would do things like a water cut where obviously you manipulate your water levels and just get really dehydrated to lose weight as a short-term means to an end, whereas with bodybuilding it's a more long-term significant change in that you're trying to lose body fat and change your actual body composition. With that said, my diet will be changing like from this point on, I guess, because whereas with powerlifting I was pretty consistent, I would kind of sit at maintenance for like most of the year. Now I'm going to be going through the whole bulking and cutting cycle. I'm not going to be doing it loads, I'm not going to be cutting and bulking every month, but I mean I am going to be probably a couple of times a year switching from being in a calorie surplus, a pretty serious one, to being in a calorie deficit, again a pretty serious one. But in terms of the content of my diet and the food that I eat in order to gain weight or lose weight, that's going to be pretty similar. And that, my friends, is pretty much that. I'm going to end the video here because I feel like a bit of a weirdo. People are looking at me, I'm filming whilst eating by myself in a restaurant, which is not the greatest moment of my life. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow.